all of us have time. We all have time. It's just a matter of how we use our time. So many people are using their time in ways that aren't productive for them, and no one is telling them that it's not productive. They're not even listening to themselves. They don't have any self-awareness. And so what ends up happening is they run out of time and then they blame everybody else. They blame their job, they blame their boss, they blame their family, they blame the government, they blame everyone else except for themselves that they don't have enough time. But we're all giving the same amount of time. You hear this over and over and over again. Right now, it's 10:45 p.m. I've gotten into a routine with my life. I've spent 10 plus years figuring out how to get to this space where I have the time I need to do the things that I want to do and need to do. And it was rough for a while because, I was a new parent, and you go through a phase where you feel like you're never going to get enough sleep. Never. You go through a phase where you're getting enough sleep, but you don't have enough time to do anything for yourself. There's just never enough time. And then you go through a phase where you're like, oh, wow, I have control of this. And you set up a routine, and then the routine works. But you have choices, right? After you go through a season of knowing what it's like to not have enough time, to not have enough energy, to not have enough sleep, and to want to do all these things and not be able to do them, when you finally have the opportunity to do them, you don't squander that. You jump on it. So, like I said, right now it's 10:45 p.m. and for the last 2 months, I've gotten into a routine where my kids go to sleep. My wife has started going to sleep earlier. They're in the bed by like 8:30. By 9 o'clock for sure, everybody's typically asleep. Almost every single night. Typically 5 to 6 nights a week. I go into my office, right? I got my studio office and I'm working on something. It's either working on my business, like the website, the planning, the finances, or I'm working on music. So I'm creating music, I'm mixing, editing music, I'm producing music, or I'm doing what I'm doing right now, where I'm recording audio sessions of myself talking about a topic. And I do this consistently. I'm capitalizing on my time because what I know is that I know how much sleep I need each night, and I know when I have time to do things. I could be doing something else right now. I could be watching Netflix. Right now, I'm into Supergirl. I started watching earlier this year. Well, sorry, at the end of last year, I started watching Supergirl after I finished watching The Flash. And I'm almost close to being done watching Supergirl. I could be sitting in what we call our bonus room, where I've got a nice, comfy chair. I've got a decent sized TV. It's a closed off room. It would be a very nice experience as to end the night just watching TV shows that I want to watch, enjoying myself. But instead, I choose to be here in my office recording audio content and working on music. Tonight, I worked on a song. I mixed the song, got to a point where I was like, okay, this is good. I've been working on this for about an hour. I'm done. And then I came back and started recording this speech. And it's the second speech I'm recording tonight. And why is this important? Why do I take time to talk about it? Well, because instead of complaining about how I don't have time to get things done, I'm capitalizing on the time that I do have. And one of the biggest mistakes that I find that people will typically make when they don't have enough time is they will get this energy burst and they'll work on something for an extended period of time, and then they expect it to just blow up, right? Like, oh my gosh, I started this new thing and it's just gonna work. Everybody's gonna come running to me. And they're gonna be so excited, and they're gonna, I'm gonna make some extra money from doing this thing, right? I'm gonna change some lives from doing this thing. And that rarely ever works, right? That's sort of like what I call lottery mindset, where you think that if you played a lottery, you never know, you could get lucky. Most of us never get lucky. As a matter of fact, most of us waste most of our money putting into the lottery, right? We'd be better off investing our money in, the into the stock market and tracking it with the S&P, right? We would make more money if we were just consistent, slowly investing money every single month consistently. And, 10 years later, taking our money out after it had compound interest, which is exactly what I'm attempting to do by being in my office every single night. I know I get about 2 hours, like I said. I get those 2 hours and I do something small every single night consistently. The trap is, which I started to say, and I'm going to finish up, I'm going to continue that thought here because I did mess it up a little bit, is that people do one thing and they expect it to blow up. You can't just do one thing. You got to do a lot of things. That's why when I decided in 2024, fall of 2024, I decided I was going to learn AI, generative AI to be specific. And I really latched on to using generative AI for creating music. And I've been using Suno. I've heard about Udio. I don't really use Udio. I've used other products, and I've been doing like speech to AI voice, text to AI voice. I've been doing AI video generation, all sorts of stuff. But when I started all that, I recognized that one song isn't going to be good enough, and one album won't be good enough. For 2025, I need to put out 5 albums. It's like if I do 5 albums, I think that will barely be good enough, right? So that's exactly what I got in the studio. I wasn't even in the studio. I was on vacation, by the way. And in my downtime, I was writing songs, once the same thing. Like this is months ago. So it's before I even came up with this strategy of every single night after my family goes to sleep, I will spend about 2 hours working on something, right? So this is before I came up with that. We were on vacation. I'm in the car. I'm waiting. My kids fall asleep and we're about to go to the park or something. And I'm writing songs in the car. And because I'm using this generative AI tool, Suno, it works on a phone, on an app. So I don't even have to be in my studio. I can be writing a song while I'm sitting in my car, with the AC blasting, waiting for my kids to wake up. And then I could send that through Suno with, whatever artifacts I give it. And then I have a song. And then I put that in a little playlist and I say, okay, I'm going to save that. I ended up having like 40 songs. So I had 2 or 3 albums already created within 1 month. And I had a schedule. I was like, I'm going to push this first album out really quickly. And then I'm going to get the second album out like 1 week later. Then I'm going to schedule a third album. And then I'm going to do a fourth album and then a fifth album. And after I get that fifth album, I will have completed my 5 albums within 1 year. So all, for 2025 essentially. And I'll also start working on another album after that. I had multiple pieces of content ready to go. And the reason why is because if you do one thing, right? So let's combine this luck mentality because there's a lot of things that really have to do with timing, and maybe we don't have so much control over who's really going to listen to our content, who's really going to pick it up and enjoy it. You could have a great piece of music that is released at the wrong time. And it could take months or years before the world catches on. We don't have any control over that. So, but what happens if you do release a song? What if you only made one song and it was the best song the world would ever hear? So there was so much talent poured into it, and it was dynamic and unique, original, and it had sounds that nobody had ever heard before. And you just created one song and the world loved it and they wanted more, but you didn't create more. You only did the one song and you put everything into that one song. You'd be a one-hit wonder. There'd be nothing to follow up. And the thing is, when people have something good, they want more of that good thing. That's why I think it's important to take your time to work on something that could become good. The key word is could. And then after you get that one thing, work on a second thing and a third thing. And don't start releasing any of your content. Don't start releasing any of your good content until you've got quite a bit more content built up. You're going to build yourself a little bit of flexibility So that way you don't have to always be on. Because remember, my strategy is that I spend a few hours each evening working on what I work on. I do little by little. So if I started doing this 2 months ago, and every single night I record one 20-minute speech, right? Every single night I work on mixing a song for an hour. After 6 months of doing this, I'm going to have a lot of songs in my catalog. I'm going to have a lot of talks ready to go that are recorded. There's videos, and I can start putting things on the schedule, right? I talk a lot about building a gap, that you need to pay attention to the gaps and everything. You have to pay attention to cycles, and you have to pay attention to gaps. The gap between demand and supply is very important. See, in economics, the price point is wherever demand meets supply. But for me, I really like to look at things and say, well, any good store, there's a couple of strategies. One strategy is that you only supply enough to meet your needs, to sell the amount you need to sell, and then once you sell out, you stop selling, right? Like there's stores that do that. They open up in the morning time, they sell donuts until they run out of donuts, and when they run out of donuts, they close the doors and they don't sell anymore, and then they open up the next day. Then there's stores that say, well, we will keep selling donuts until the end of the day. So we start at 8 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. We sell some donuts all throughout the day. We're constantly baking all day, just baking, baking, baking until the end of the day. And then we close up shop, right? Those are two different strategies. Then there's people who say, well, I don't really want to be constantly doing that, because that to me is not work-life balance. What I want to do is I want to kind of mix both strategies. I want to be able to sell, 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 and also want to be able to stop making. I want to stop baking things at some point, right? I'm going to do it every single day, but I also want to be able to take a day off every once in a while. And the only way I can do that is if I build up a surplus. If I have a surplus, then no matter what the demand is, there's always going to be a little extra there, right? And that's what it is for me when it comes to content creation, right? I'm going to build up my catalog really large by doing things consistently in small amounts. And before I start releasing, I want to give myself about a 3-month headway. Maybe in some cases, you could say I give myself just even a 2-week leeway, 2-week advance, right? And then I'm going to release videos once a week. If I'm able to produce 2 speeches every single night, 2 20-minute long speeches, and I can do that for 2 weeks, 5 to 6 nights a week. So at the very minimum, I'd have 10 speeches. I've got 10 weeks of content if I'm releasing one speech every single week, right? And if I keep on that strategy of every single night, I spend some time in my office and I just record another speech and I produce it and I get it ready to go and I put it in the whole system and have it ready to release, after a while, it's going to feel like I'm unstoppable. People are going to be like, how does this guy create so much stuff? How does he have such a good handle on his time? It's because I have a strong system in place. And once again, going back to where I started, is that people oftentimes misunderstand how much time they actually have to do things like this. They blame everybody else for not having time. When if we were just look at ourselves in the mirror and say, how can I be more effective? How can I show up differently? How can I use the time I have to create things and do things so that way I can have a piece of this economy that's booming right now. It's not just about money either. It's really about like feeling productive. For me, it feels good to know that I'm one of the people that has something to say and I can be on a schedule and say it and release it. And I don't feel like I'm constantly at the demand at everybody else's demand, right? Like when people want something, like I want it right now. And I'm like, well, you want it right now. I don't have to give it to you right now. Here's what I have in stock, right? Here, take this. I've already thought about you. I've already prepared something for you. I don't have to be at everybody's, you know, beck and call to create new content, because people have an insatiable desire for new things, whether it's speeches, it's music, or sights and sounds, art, and all that sort of stuff. People always want new things. That's why people spend hours and hours and hours on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, whatever new things are out there. People spend so many hours reading and scrolling through new content because they have an insatiable desire. There will never be enough. I want you to think about this. There will never be enough music. There will never be enough art. There will never be enough podcast. There will never be enough blogs to satisfy this world. And oftentimes, the content that's being released, it's repetitive. It's the same thing over and over and over again. You can tap into that market. You can do it. You have to figure out your strategy. You have to figure out how to let go of the excuse that says, I don't have enough time. If you've managed to sit and listen to what I'm saying for the last 16 and a half minutes, that's how long I've been talking, by the way, 16 and a half minutes. And that wasn't even hard for me to do. I literally hit the record button. I had no idea what I was going to talk about, but I said I will talk for 16 plus minutes. I will talk for about 20 minutes. Now I'm looking at time thinking, oh, I got 3 minutes left. That's a long time to talk. I'm going to burn through that 3 minutes like nothing, right? Anybody can do this. Anybody can sit in front of a microphone and talk if they really wanted to, if they practice and they put in the time and energy, if they had the strategy. What's stopping you from doing that? The problem you'll face is that if you're trying to catch up to me, you're already behind, because by the time you're hearing this, I've already probably done another 15 to 20 different segments, right? And these are the full blown content. Now, what happens when I start to dissect these things up and I'm like, okay, 20 minutes of talking. Not everybody wants to listen to 20 minutes. Some people only want to listen to 15, 30 seconds. Well, how many 15 to 30-second segments can I pull out of one 20-minute video? I am leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else. And this isn't AI, right? This is like me actually as a human taking time to sit in a room and talk. It's valuable, especially now in a world where AI can do all the things that humans can do. But even if AI can do all those things, and I'm a person that's using AI to create music, even if AI can create music better than I can, there's still something special about sitting down and, you know, tapping out a beat on a drum or even a desk, me tapping on a desk and saying, oh, I got a rhythm or song, and creating a song with my using my own talent and skills. There will still be a market for those things. People are going to find that valuable. You know why? It's because it's almost like right now, how valuable would it be if I said, hey, you know what? Every single night, 9:30, come to my house. We'll drink some water. We'll sit down. Nothing special. Just in my bonus room. We'll sit on the chairs, and we're just gonna talk. I'm just gonna talk. I don't know what I'll say, but I'm just gonna talk, and you're gonna get to hear anything that has been a benefit to me throughout my years. You're going to get to hear from me, and you can filter through your own brain what's useful to you or not. And when we're done, then you'll go home and we'll do it again tomorrow, right? That's basically what you're getting from me when you're listening to these talks. You could go to the computer right now and you could ask Google, you could ask ChatGPT, Gemini, or whatever, hey, give me some advice on how to make my life better, and it will tell you some things, but it's not going to be the same as what we're doing right now. So look at that. I'm already at 19 minutes and 45 seconds. So when I started talking 20 minutes ago, I thought, this will be short. It'll be like 5 minutes. It turned into a whole thing. So yeah, I think you need to jump in on this, and you need to just make it happen. You have the time. If you strategize yourself, you make your and you figure out how to make the value in your life something that you really really care about, and you won't let anybody else take it away from you.